Hello YouTube, Sign here with Hobbies Man once again, and today we're going to be doing our review of Andor, the first three issues, the first three chapters, the first three episodes, which are the first arc in the story. So the way I'm going to do these reviews is only going to do them over the arcs. So the first three episodes are one arc. I'm going to review this, and then in a month I'm going to review the next arc, which is the next three episodes, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to keep doing it that way because the way that the story is structured, the way the movie or the TV show is made, I think it lends itself to be best enjoyed that way. And if I made a review for every episode, I would be repeating myself over and over again, right? I mean, I already do that enough as it is in all of my reviews, so I don't know if I really want to do that so often for Andor. So we're going to do these first three episodes, and then in a month from now, we'll do the other three, right? And we'll keep going that way for the rest of the season. So, yeah, Andor, written by Tony Gilroy, directed by Tony Gilroy, at least for these three arcs, and, for these three episodes. And, yeah, it's the origin story of Cassian Andor, which, honestly, I don't really care about Cassian Andor. I can definitely say for sure that Rogue One is the best Disney Star Wars movie. It's not necessarily the best Disney Star Wars thing, though, because The Mandalorian is right there. And I didn't really think I cared about Cassian Andor. The only thing about this show that was interesting to me beforehand was that Diego Luna was going to be in it. And I don't really care about Diego Luna as an actor, but he's Mexican, and so I felt interested in that for the sake of, like, solidarity with my people, which... I'm making it sound like I was really invested in it, but I don't give a shit about the show. I didn't give a shit about the show at all until I watched it, and I actually found it to be pretty enjoyable. It's significantly better than Kenobi or Boba Fett, and I think that's because this has a reason to exist, whereas the other two don't really have a reason to exist, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but that's kind of what I'm feeling, and I think that's what I'll go with. So, yeah, the storyline of Cassian Andor and why he exists the way he exists. And it has non-linear situations with two different plot lines. And I think that this is done so that you don't clock out halfway through the story. Because if they had set it up linearly, I don't think most people would have cared, because they sold it one way. And if they started linearly from the beginning of the timeline to the end of the episode, you might have not given a shit, right? So I think they did a great job at weaving in those two plot lines, those two different chronological periods, into something that had a semblance of interest, right? So, yeah, the first plot line is the introduction of Cassian, the inciting incident where he kills two people, not necessarily in cold blood, but one of them he definitely just killed because he had to, or because he thought it was the best option. The other one he killed by accident. As he's looking for his sister, which we know by the end of the arc that is lost somewhere in space. And then he has to do a bunch of stuff in town to try to prepare to escape so that people don't come after him. But they do, and then he and the city that he lives in, Ferrix, or the planet that he lives in, have to battle this security force, throughout the episode. And he manages to escape in the end, but it looks pretty perilous for a long time. And then the secondary plot line is Cassian as a child on this planet called Kenari. Now, some people might be upset by this because canonically I think that Cassian is actually from Fest and he was a separatist, but this doesn't seem to be the case in the show, and they actually make it very clear because they say Fest was a cover story. So it is functionally not breaking canon, right? I don't really care too much about canon that I don't know, and a lot of canon that is just said on visual dictionaries doesn't matter to me. Like, I care about what I see or what I read, right? I don't care about what some dictionary that they're trying to sell me says, right? Because I don't care about those things. I didn't experience them properly, right? So he's on Kenari, and they're having this Lord of Flies situation where only children are living there, and they're kind of very native. They have regressed, and then this ship crashes near them, and they go check out the ship, and there's these people dead on the ground with yellow skin, and he goes into the ship after they after the people kill one of his friends, and then they're all dead because they killed him off. And then he goes into the ship while all of his friends go back to their little place. And while he's in the ship, Marva, his adoptive mother, shows up and takes him away with her so that he doesn't get killed by the Republic, which is apparently coming down to do something. And it's really interesting because they say that he murdered a Republic officer, but all of the people on the ground that were on the ship are wearing CSI, what's it called, patches on their body. So it doesn't seem like they missed that. It seems like it was intentional, and I'm not sure why. It could have been some sort of, information war type situation. And, he ends up off-world with Marva and her husband, or her co-worker. And then he ends up, that ends up catching up to the modern storyline. So, I didn't really care too much about the Kenari stuff. I really like the stuff in the current version. It reminds me a lot of these, small-time cop shows that me and my dad like to watch on Netflix. There's a bunch of them, but usually they're European shows, and they're about these cops that come into this very small city, and they're there to try to figure out some issue. And I like that. I think it works really well. It's pretty interesting. Then there's this other plot line, which is the corporation guys reacting to Cassian killing their two other employees. And then it's led by this tryhard guy. I think his name's Sorrel or something. And this Scottish military bro, who's actually the best, probably the best performance in the whole show. I liked him a lot. They're just a bunch of asshats. They're just a bunch of assholes. And they're down into Ferrix to try to arrest Cassian, but they actually end up just causing a very big commotion in the city. And, they pay the price for it. So, yeah. In terms of setting, there's this tropical forest planet, which is Kenari. There's Ferrix, which is basically an old miner town. And the corporate situation, which is a very fancy, high-tech kind of place. It does kind of feel like Blade Runner-esque, which is something that a lot of other people have said. But I think that's just because it does have this kind of corporate cyberpunk feel to it. And Blade Runner is the most iconic version of that in terms of movies and TV. And it doesn't really feel like Blade Runner, but it kind of evokes that sense of Blade Runner. And that's why I think people say this, but it's very basically just a messed up corporation town. And it's an old miner city, and it's just very run down. And people are very tired, and they're not really happy with their situation, but they just keep their head down and keep going so that they can at least live peacefully. And Cassian has caused the commotion, but because he's one of them, they protect him from these corporal guys, even though they should have just let the corporal guys get Cassian and left them, right? But yeah, overall I liked it. I really enjoyed it. However, it's not really my favorite. It doesn't really feel like Star Wars just yet. It's like, how do I explain this? It's a sci-fi show. It definitely has the veneer of Star Wars because everything looks and sounds like Star Wars, but it doesn't feel like Star Wars yet. And I think it will, but I think it's a bit of a learning curve to get there. However, I do think that this is significantly better than Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. It is a lot more exciting. It's very interesting. It's very fresh and new, and it's not causing me to kind of dislike what's happening on the television. It's very good. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. It's also because I didn't have any expectations for the show, because very similar to Mandalorian, I don't know this character, right? And so I understand that. However, I think this is being handled 2, 3, 4, 5 times better than Kenobi or Boba Fett ever were, and I'm very happy with that situation. So, yeah, I didn't have a sense of disappointment. I wasn't necessarily excited for this story, but once I got it, I liked it, and I'm very definitely excited for more now. So that's kind of my 2 cents on this. Basically, I am excited for what comes next, and that's something that I haven't been able to say for quite a while when it comes to Star Wars. So I'm very happy with that. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.